Hello and welcome back. Now today I have for you a video all on some dumb decisions that have happened on the challenge. Now these decisions and moves were made either by a single person or a group of people, and it cost them a daily challenge, an elimination, or it cost them the game. In the 36 seasons of the challenge, there have been a lot of dumb moves and dumb decisions, and I couldn't put all of them in a video or it would be extremely long, but I have a good chunk of them here picked out for this video. So without further ado, let's jump into a dumb decision that happened in season 18. Now on the ruins, the challengers team found it very challenging to get a daily challenge win, but in episode 3 they got it when they won the repo race. Now the smart move for them would be to vote in Casey, as she was one of the weaker members of their team. However, they decide that they're going to vote in the rookie Brianna. She goes up against Susie and loses, and then Casey would proceed to be a liability for the challengers team throughout the rest of the season, costing them daily challenge wins. If we look at the episode right after episode 3, episode 4 daily challenge, she cost them that one. Because of the format of the season, the champions team was never going to vote in Casey, for she was an asset to the champions team with her staying on the challengers team. It wasn't until the final elimination of the season where Susie got to pick whoever she wanted to go up against, as she was the final woman left standing on the champions team, and she could pick whoever she wanted to go into the last elimination against, and she chose Casey, and she won the final elimination against Casey, kicking Casey to the curb. And this reminds me a lot of what happened in season 15, Gauntlet 3 with the Vets team, as they were worried about Big Easy. They were worried about him not being able to finish a final, but also they were worried about facing him in an elimination. So instead of putting him in and trying to get him off the team, they decided they're gonna let him skate by, and once they did that, he made it to the finals and he cost them the finals in total. It was a bonehead move on the vet side, and it cost them dearly.
And who do you think is gonna be the biggest anchor doing that? And I think that's easy, dude.
I don't go down. It's called heart and dedication. I got it.
Now let's move into season 27, where we have Mitch going up against Raffi in an elimination called My Way or the Highway. Early on in this elimination, it looked like Raffi was gonna take this handedly from Mitch. However, in the middle of the elimination, Dario, his emotions got the best of him. He got too excited and bumped into Raffi, and that was the in that Mitch needed to gain momentum and win this elimination. It was a huge brain fart.
I've never seen a bigger bonehead blunder.
Super stupid.
And it was just a dumb move on Dario's part to interfere with the elimination.
You started chest bumping.
Yeah, I thought it was over, dog.
What's wrong with you?
I got too hyped.
Yo, you're an idiot, dude.
Now, speaking of Corey, let's move on to season 30, Dirty 30, where Corey comes in to the season not messing around. He knows what he has to do to make it to a finals, and he knows what he has to do to win. He has to take out the OG vets, the champions, and who he has on his list is Darrell, Bananas, CT, and Derek K. Now, this would be something else if Corey kept this list to himself. However, he let it be known that he had a quote-unquote hit list and who was going to be on it.
Corey, you got a hit list?
Yeah.
Who's on that hit list?
I'm coming for those two. I'm coming for Derek.
That put a giant target on his back. When you're coming into a game, having to go up against really tough competitors, you would want them to try to take each other out. Instead, it kind of unified them to go after a single enemy, and that was Corey, and he was targeted early and often. Now let's stick with Dirty 30, and we're gonna go into a daily challenge called Battle Royale, where it was kind of like a Hall Brawl-esque daily challenge, and there was gonna have to be 2 teams of 10 that were gonna be picked by 2 team captains that were randomly selected by picking names out of a hat. Now, the first person that was picked was Kayla. The other person was Dario. With Kayla's first pick, she was able to pick anybody that she wanted from the men's side, and she decided to pick Derek K. Now, Derek K, don't get me wrong, is a good player, but you don't leave CT out there, especially with a game like Hall Brawl. She left him up on the block, and Dario easily scooped him up with his second pick. Kayla's whole decision of her team picking was picking players who were agile and who were quick, whereas Dario went the opposite way and went with beef and strength. And let me tell you right now, who do you think won the first round on the men's side? Of course it was Dario's green team, who crushed Kayla's men's team. Now on the women's side, it was very close as they had to check the videotape on who finished first, but the green team won 2 rounds to nothing, and I think the momentum really shifted once the guys went. Now let's stick with Kayla one more time in Dirty 30, and this comes into the trivia challenge, where in the trivia challenge, you were gonna get an X if you got the question wrong, but if you got the question right, you could give an X to somebody and sabotage them. 3 strikes and you're out. Now Kayla and Hunter won the previous eliminations, and so they were able to pick the order of who was gonna get asked the questions when. So Kayla's strategy was that she thought that a lot of players were gonna get these questions wrong. So she decided to place all her mortal enemies in the game up in the front, and she was gonna put herself dead last. That proved to be one of the dumbest decisions in challenge history, as the first 3 people got their first 3 questions right, and they gave all their X's to Kayla, who was instantly out of the game.
Kayla, you didn't think this one through, baby girl.
In season 32 Final Reckoning, Zach and Amanda found themselves in quite a pickle when the vote was tied between Bananas and Tony and Hunter and Ashley. The dumb decision that happens in this elimination is that there was no decision that was made. Amanda and Zach couldn't come up with a decision that they both agreed on, so despite coming into the Armageddon immune, they were gonna go into the elimination.
He's risking $1 million right now. Is he being a good friend or just an idiot?
They lost. They were sent to the redemption house, where Zach was checked out by the doctors and had to be medically disqualified for breaking his nose in that elimination. This was so dumb in the fact that Zach and Amanda had this game in the bag. They were clearly the front runner to win this season, yet they couldn't come together to make a uniform decision, and it cost them everything. Now let's go back a little bit to season 11, Gauntlet 2, to the finals, where the Vets team decided to put majority of their players and majority of their money into the first round of the finals, which was eating 12 pounds of roadie. Even with an extra person on their team, the Vets team was unable to win round 1, instantly giving the win to the rookie team. They went big in the first round and they lost big in the first round. And we as the audience lost as well, as this was pretty much done and over, as there was no way that the Vets team could even pull off an upset win. They lost too many coins, and even if they wanted to go on, it was going to be a massacre, as in round 2, it was going to have to be Anissa going up against MJ, Landon, and Alton in a sand sprint. Now speaking of Landon, let's move on to season 19 Fresh Meat 2, where we have in the penultimate elimination, we had Landon and Carly going up against Evelyn and Luke in the Wait For Me Exile Blackout Edition. And what they're gonna have to do is that they're gonna have to climb up this mountain with the weights on their back, and they were gonna have to do 3 puzzles. Really, the first puzzle was mandatory and the other 2 were optional. When it came down to the third and final puzzle, Landon and Carly decided that they were going to try out this maze, whereas on the look of it, Evelyn decided to make the executive decision to say, no, we're not doing this, grab your weight and let's go. Luke wanted to try out the puzzle, but Evelyn insisted that they just pick up their weight and then hightail it to the finish line.
One shot.
No, let's go.
Evelyn!
Let's go.
Now it came to be that Landon and Carly were able to finish the puzzle, have 5 minutes shaved off their time, and they crossed the finish line after Evelyn and Luke, but because of those 5 minutes, they actually won that elimination. I feel like even if Evelyn and Luke finished that puzzle behind Landon and Carly, they could have caught up with them and passed them, as Carly was having a really struggling time on that mountain and in that elevation. Let's move into season 24 Rivals 2, where we had Zach and Trey going into the elimination, and then the women had to vote in a guy group to go in against them. Teresa and Jasmine wanted to stay neutral, so they decided to quote unquote burn their vote on Leroy and Ty.
He says Leroy and Ty. Like, what?
Now when we got to Nani and John A, they did the same thing.
Like someone who I have a close bond with, you know, another dagger.
Now Teresa thought that Anissa and DM were gonna take a shot at the rookies, Jordan and Marlon. However, they did not. DM wanted to take a shot at Leroy. She put in the final vote. Leroy and Ty were gonna go into the elimination against Zach and Trey, and they almost lost against Zach and Trey if Zach didn't break the rules. It was a terrible decision to quote unquote burn vote on someone who is a strong ally to you. Let's move on to another voting blunder by Teresa, which happened in the very next season, Free Agents, season 25, when she was on the winning side with her group, and she decided that she was gonna try to push the vote onto Laurel. She pushed harder and harder until she convinced majority of the group to vote in Laurel. But when it came down to brass tacks, she pulled away.
Teresa.
And I'm sorry, Jasmine. My vote's for you.
There was enough votes for Laurel to go into the elimination, and so she decided to, you know what, I'm not gonna get my quote-unquote hands dirty. It did not save Laurel whatsoever with Laurel, and it didn't help that she backstabbed and lied to her whole group that had her back on this. And I think it cost her a lot, and it gave her a terrible reputation within the game where people could not trust Teresa. Now, in Free Agents, Jordan was coming off of a great rookie season and wanted to come in strutting his stuff and wanted to take a shot at Bananas. Bananas and Jordan had a heated rivalry within this season.
You won't just be missing a hand after you come in here, but I'm gonna take your head off.
You're talking this big. You better do it.
Bananas was voted into the elimination, Jordan was in the draw, and he was talking over and over with everybody about maybe flipping all the kill cards. Now, how this all ends is Jordan flips over all the kill cards, goes up against Bananas, and loses in the Wrecking Wall elimination. Personally, I think this is one of the gutsiest plays and it's one of the most memorable eliminations in challenge history, but I also think that this is a dumb decision because you have to know when to take your shot. I think he stacks up well against Bananas in any other elimination except for Wrecking Wall, and I think it would have been fine if he would have just like backed up and said no thank you, but he did take a shot. I have to commend him for that. I just think that there's a time and a place, and it just wasn't the time or place. Speaking about taking your shot, in season 13, The Duel, Evan and Wes came in and they made a truce with each other, that they were even gonna work together to try to help each other make it to the finals. And they came to terms that if they were gonna go into the elimination, Wes was gonna take out Brad if Evan was gonna try to take out CT before the finals. They both agreed to these terms. Fast forward to when Evan was gonna go into the elimination, and he holds up his end of the bargain by picking CT to go up against him in the elimination. Once CT is standing next to Evan, that's when instant regret hits him hard in the face. Even though it was his decision, Evan is frustrated with Wes because he feels manipulated and played by Wes on why he picked CT. Evan should have picked Brad, as now Evan is super intimidated by CT going into the elimination. He's going against him in the Ascender elimination. There's a puzzle in that one, and Evan before the elimination decides to make a cheat sheet on his arm.
Evan comes walking up with a cheat sheet on his arm, like he thinks he's slick. It's like, bro, you're a meatball, you're going home anyway.
Even with a cheat sheet, I think CT would have mopped the floor with him, as CT easily wins this elimination and sends Evan home, as this was a super dumb decision. Now, speaking of CT, let's move on to season 22, Battle of the X's, where he is partnered up with DM. Now, later on in the season, they won 2 daily challenges in a row to secure themselves safety and a spot in the finals. Now, as their first time as the power duo, they had to send in a couple to go up against Ty and Emily. To me, I think that they made a grave mistake not sending in Johnny and Camilla. Johnny and Camilla were the strongest duo, as they had won 3 daily challenges on the season. Now, I can see it where Dunbar won on season 20 with the red team in Cutthroat, and Paula was coming off of winning season 21. However, Paula and Dunbar paired up together was a non-threat, but DM wanted to take a shot at Paula and Dunbar.
Because they're the biggest threat.
I'd rather keep it on for the next challenge.
And they were eliminated by Ty and Emily. Then in the next episode, they finally sent in Mark and Robin to go up against Johnny and Camilla, but it was too late. Mark already agreed to Bananas that he was going to quote unquote jump on the grenade for Bananas.
I had to jump on the grenade that night for Johnny, but I'll never do it again.
Securing a spot for Bananas and Camilla in the finals, which they took first place, and CT and DM took second place. I think if CT and DM would have sent in Bananas and Camilla against Emily and Ty, they would have had a good shot of losing in the Hall Pass elimination, and that could have locked up a win for CT and DM once they have made it into the finals. All right, let's head into season 34, War of the Worlds 2, where, my goodness, this was like a season filled with dumb decisions and dumb moves. First of all, the first dumb decision was that Team USA were not going to put aside their differences and try to work together. This was like the ruins all over again, as the Team USA were dominating throughout the whole season. They only lost 3 daily challenges, and if they wouldn't have sent in their own team members with their own tribunal, I think they would have been able to dominate in any way that they wanted to. Or if they were going to quote unquote trim the fat, they could have been more selective instead of sending in strong, final experienced players. Another dumb decision was everyone listening to Kara's cult, especially Team UK. Why were they listening to somebody on the other team? It makes no sense. They decided that they were gonna vote in Theo twice. They were gonna vote in Georgia, even though it was a day that they won and they could have taken a shot at Team USA. And then they sent in Tori, which then the Team USA tribunal was able to send in Jenny against her, and whoever lost in that duo would have helped out Team USA way more than it would have helped out Team UK. Then we move on to the swimming purge daily challenge, where Joss and Kaylee lost. If they would have been more strategic in their thinking throughout the season, possibly they could have kept in strong players and a duo from Team USA would have probably been eliminated. Let's fast forward to season 36 double agents, and let's go into Jay and Teresa, as they won the Smuggle Run daily challenge and they were the double agents. And as we go through the episode, Jay was telling both Kyle and Corey that if they were going to be voted in, that he was going to give them a heads up.
Don't throw me in.
I would give you 2 a heads up.
I'm doing stupid moves right now and I can feel it.
However, on the other side of the house, we have his partner Teresa rallying votes to send in Corey and Ashley, which happens. We move on to the creator, where he burns not only a bridge with Corey and Ashley, but he also burns a bridge with Kyle and Cam and Leroy.
Oh, you gonna pay for this one. I promise.
Jay lost sight of his own game and gave total control to Teresa.
I'm down to do whatever you want.
Which burned him in the next episode, where everyone easily said his name and voted him into the elimination, and Leroy decided to put the nail in the coffin by going up against Jay in the fire escape elimination, which he dominated and sending Jay home. We move on to episode 10, where Gabby and Devin were the double agents, and we have Corey and Amber M as the compromised agents. Gabby does not have her gold skull, and she decides that she is not going to go down and face Amber M.
Really?
And it baffles everyone at the crater on why Gabby wouldn't be going up against Amber M. They are both rookies, they are the same size.
Gold skull, silver platter, what are you doing?
Instead, Gabby and Devin vote in Amber B, easily destroys Amber M, gets a gold skull on a silver platter, and Gabby is hit with regret.
Gabby,
Yes.
you have any regrets?
Yes.
And the final dumb decision I have on this list comes in episode 16 of season 36, Double Agents, where we have Amber, who won yet another hall brawl, and she gets to pick whoever she wants as a partner. She decides she's gonna pick Fessy as her partner, which I could have put every time that Fessy was stolen in Double Agents up on this list as a dumb move.
Stolen for the 3rd time. I'm definitely disappointed.
Now Nani has a decision on whether she wants to be paired up with CT or Kyle. On one side, you have a longtime friend and a 3-time challenge champ, and on the other hand, you have Kyle, who is a close friend, and you were paired up with him at certain points on the season, and it just did not work out.
But Kyle, I'm coming home!
Yes!
Leaving CT Rogue this late in the game gave him an express pass to the finals.
That was so dumb.
I believe that if Nani would have taken CT as her partner, then Fessy wouldn't have easily volunteered himself. Yes, at the 80s party, he calls out CT, saying he's washed up and that could easily take him out. But with Kyle off the table, I don't think he easily throws himself into the final elimination, whether it would be against CT or Leroy or Corey. And with CT in the finals and his partner being Amber and them being paired up, it easily locked in first place as they won handedly. But that is all the dumb decisions and dumb moves that I wanted to highlight in this video. Which out of the ones that I've mentioned on this list is the dumbest in your opinion? Let me know that in the comment section below. And is there one that I didn't mention that came popping up in your mind in the middle of this video, or just kind of like light bulbs when you hear dumb decisions on the challenge that I did not mention? Let me know that in the comment section below. Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really, really soon with more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.